India are all out for 36, their lowest ever innings total in Test cricket history. Captain Virat Kohli, still at the peak of his powers, is flying home for the birth of his child. Mohammad Shami is ruled out. Umesh Yadav is ruled out. A stand-in captain had to fill an enormous void for India to defend the Border Gavaskar Trophy after being one down in a 4-test series. Ajinkya Rahane didn't back down. India's silent soldier marched out in the second test in Melbourne with the side 3 wickets down for just 64 runs. Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins were breathing fire, knocking over India's top order, and out comes the stand-in Indian skipper with a solid block off his first ball to cover. Rahane notched up 112 off 223 deliveries that innings. The next highest individual score in the entire game was 57 by Ravindra Jadeja, less than half of Rahane's total. With all the pressure in the world mounting on his shoulders, Rahane led India to an imposing 131-run lead, heading into the third innings. India went on to win the test by 8 wickets, with Rahane winning player of the match. The Border Gavaskar Trophy of 2020-2021 is hailed as one of India's greatest series wins for various reasons. Rahane's performance across the board tops that list. He marshaled a wounded, out-of-form Indian side that was practically fielding their C team to an away series win in Australia, just the second in Indian cricket history. As Harsha Bhogle rightfully quoted, India's winning team deserve a book written about them. Rahane was built in the classical mold. Every shot he played, he had a high, still head, balanced base, and a method that depended on getting into position early rather than relying on hand-eye reflexes late. He was, for a long stretch, considered one of the most technically correct batters in the post-Fab 5 generation, which is precisely why the Dravid comparisons struck so early in his career. The signature technical strength was footwork that got him fully forward or fully back. When he was in form, this showed up as clean, decisive drives through the covers and confident back foot punches. He was textbook shapes and angles, a sight any youth cricketer would admire. Ajinkya Rahane became the 11th player to score 1,000 plus runs in a single Ranji Trophy season in the 2008-2009 edition. He was prolific in his early days. In those 3 consecutive seasons, he scored 2,507 runs from just 40 innings, averaging 73.4 with 10 tons and 10 50s. Rahane was on the fringe of breaking into the Indian side for a while, viewed as one of the successors to India's golden generation. The likes of Rahul Dravid, Sachin Tendulkar, VVS Lakshman, and Virender Sehwag were reaching the back end of their career, and Rahane was one of the many batters vying for a spot in that side. He actually ended up making his T20I debut first, back in 2011 after an impressive showing for the India Emerging Players squad, and he made a mark immediately, scoring 61 off just 39 on debut. He then made his ODI debut 1 month later, specifically as a replacement for Virender Sehwag. It wasn't until 2013 that Ajinkya Rahane finally made his debut in Test cricket, after being a part of the squad for nearly 16 months without a game. Still, he only debuted in the 4th and final test and managed just 8 runs from number 5 against Australia in the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Rahane finally cemented his place later that year during India's test tour of South Africa. This was the world's first glimpse of an Indian batting trio that would serve the nation for years to come. Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, and Ajinkya Rahane finished as the top 3 run getters in this series. Rahane piled on 209 runs from 4 innings, with 2 50s and a 47. He announced himself on the world stage, not just as a reliable middle-order batter, but one to step up for India on the biggest stage in the toughest conditions. Rahane averaged above 43 in his first 4 years of Test cricket, peaking in 2016 with an average of 54.4 with 200s and 250s. This was Rahane's absolute peak, particularly in conditions away from home. He was an artist in the middle, each stroke mimicking the gentle touch of a paintbrush. With fantastic timing, he excelled against pace, even on bouncy pitches, making him invaluable on overseas tours for India. Everywhere he went, he left his mark. In 2014 alone, he scored his maiden Test ton in Wellington against New Zealand, became the 9th Indian batter to register 100 at Lord's, and scored 100 in a record-breaking partnership with Virat Kohli at the MCG. That was his breakout year, and the world recognized Ajinkya Rahane as India's soldier overseas. From 2013 until 2019, Rahane was India's best overseas batter after Kohli, averaging over 46 with 700s. On match factor in this period, Rahane averaged 24% better than the mean top 6 batter in his games overseas. He's only behind the Fab 4 of Kohli, Root, Williamson, and Smith on match factor in away games from 2013 to 2019, a testament to his reliability overseas. He had a solid record at home, too. From 2013 to 2016, he averaged 3% better than the mean top 6 batters in tests in India. In 2015, he became the 5th Indian batter to hit a century in both innings of a test match against South Africa in Delhi. From 2013 to 2019, Ajinkya Rahane was the leading run scorer from number 5 or below in tests, with only the 5th most innings at these positions. He accumulated 3,750 runs, averaging 43.6 with 10 hundreds. Rahane's run in 2016 is often overlooked. He finished the year with an average over 54, his career best year so far, and was still only India's third best batter, behind Pujara and Kohli that year. It wasn't until 2017 that Rahane started to see a decline in form. In 13 months, from the end of 2016 till 2018, Rahane averaged just 29.28 in 23 innings. Every other mainstay batter in the Indian setup was seeing a purple patch. KL Rahul, Karun Nair, Cheteshwar Pujara, Shikhar Dhawan, Parthiv Patel, and Murli Vijay all averaged between the low 50s and high 60s. Rohit Sharma managed 100 and 250s from 3 innings in this time. Virat Kohli was on top of the world, averaging 85 with 700s in just 24 innings. Meanwhile, Rahane saw the lowest returns in his career so far. At that point in his career, Rahane had been dismissed 18 times by spin at home, compared to just 9 by pace. He struggled against left-arm spin and leg spin at home in particular, averaging just 29 and 34.5 respectively, whereas he averaged above 50 against all spin overseas. With the Indian team investing more into their strategy of producing tracks that spun by day 3, Rahane's flaws against spin were exposed and left him in a tricky spot. His poor form at home continued into 2018. From 14 home tests between 2016 and 2018, Rahane averaged just 24.71 with 350s. This led to his exclusion from the first 2 tests against South Africa in 2018. But Rahane didn't back down. He soldiered on, yearning to return to form. In 2019, Rahane reached his career best. He averaged over 71 with 200s in 8 tests. Among the 6 innings he had at home this year, he managed 100 and 350s, averaging 70.6. When Rahane was asked directly what fixed his batting, his answer wasn't about a rebuilt technique, it was about his mind. Speaking ahead of the South Africa series, he explained that in the build-up to his lean run, he'd been going behind getting 100, chasing the milestone itself rather than just playing the ball in front of him. That said, it wasn't purely psychological either. The technical lessons from the brutal 2017 and 2018 stretch in correcting the loose footwork and the tendency to play away from his body that had been so publicly criticized had clearly been absorbed by Rahane at this point. His coach Praveen Amre pointed specifically to the combination of technique and temperament finally aligning together in Antigua. These technical adjustments, coupled with an improved mental clarity, brought Rahane to his peak in 2019. Rahane's career cannot be analyzed without taking a look at the team he played with. He was a part of India's most dominant phase in Test cricket. During his career, India played a total of 43 home tests, winning an outstanding 33 and losing just 3. India had by far the best win percentage in this time, at 76.7%. Rahane's contribution in this time often went underappreciated, particularly with so many superstars in the Indian team at the time, but each of his innings were vital to India's success. Cheteshwar Pujara, Virat Kohli, and Ajinkya Rahane stood as the pillars of India's batting lineup. The trio racked up the most runs for India in this time. The 3 were also in the top 5 highest test run getters in away tests during this time, unsurprising given India plays among the most away tests every cycle, but their longevity is noteworthy. The 3 batted so fluidly together, working like a relay team. We know Pujara as the wall, absorbing the pressure and whittling down bowling attacks. We know Kohli as the aggressor, setting the tempo for the innings and capitalizing on Pujara's platform. Rahane was the sculptor. He always had a soothing ease to his batting, working the gaps and accumulating runs. Pujara's grit and Kohli's fire meant that Rahane could sculpt his innings, piling on runs for the team. Rahane gelled incredibly well with both batters. Kohli and Rahane have the 5th most partnership runs for India ever, with the least games among the top 5. The duo also registered the 3rd highest partnership in Sena countries among Indian batters, with their unforgettable 262 at the MCG during the Border Gavaskar Trophy in 2014 and 2015. Kohli himself referred to Rahane as his favorite batting partner in his farewell message to the cricketer. Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane have also scored the 2nd most partnership runs for the 4th wicket in Test cricket history, only behind Misbah-ul-Haq and Yunus Khan for Pakistan. Even if his career numbers don't reflect the quality of his batting, his presence in the side inspired confidence in the batting lineup, and he was a frontrunner for an entire decade. It's hard to overstate the stability that Rahane provided to this side, alongside Pujara and Kohli. From 2013 to 2023, 12 different Indian batters had played at least 3 innings batting at positions 3, 4 and 5, the bulk of which was done by Kohli, Pujara and Rahane, naturally. Since 2023, however, when Pujara and Rahane last played a test, 13 different batters have played an innings at those positions, 1 batter more than the entire previous decade of Indian Test cricket. Since their departure, India's Test side has struggled to find the stability they previously had with their batting lineup, The constant shuffling and reordering, particularly under Gautam Gambhir as head coach, has reminded fans of the comfort the Indian side once had. Rahane had come into the ODI setup as an opener, covering for the injured Sehwag. He had lean returns though, and was ultimately replaced by Rohit Sharma up top. Rohit and Dhawan soon cemented their spots at the top of the order, and with Kohli at 3, the top order was settled. That is when Rahane's role shifted to more of a floating middle order batter. The back end of Yuvraj Singh's prolific career, particularly in white ball cricket, marked the beginning of a long battle for India, finding a suitable number 4. UV had owned the slot for the better part of 2 decades. The batting lineup saw a gaping hole without him. Ajinkya Rahane was among the first potential replacements, as he found a spot at number 4 by the end of 2013. He played the 2015 Cricket World Cup at number 4 with 208 runs from 7 innings, including an important 79 against South Africa in the group stage. Rahane wasn't able to cement his place at number 4, and that may have played a part in his inconsistent returns. His role was ambiguous, and by 2018, he was phased out of the ODI setup. His 87 off 58 balls against South Africa is an innings I'll never forget. In the series decider at the Wankhede, India were put in to chase a record 439 runs after a devastating first innings from the Proteas. The men in blue put up a solid fight. Shikhar Dhawan and Ajinkya Rahane put on 112 for the 3rd wicket. While they were batting, there was still hope that India could pull off an impossible chase. Rahane's 58-ball 87 proved to the world that he had the ability to accelerate in a pressure game in ODIs, breaking the test specialist tag often placed on him. In another world, Rahane may have seen a great run in ODIs as India's anchor, or even at the top of the order. Rahane is the only Indian captain to remain undefeated with at least 3 tests captained. He has led India 6 times, claiming 4 wins and 2 draws in the Whites. He has the joint most test wins in Australia as an Indian captain, with 2. He's only captained 3 games there. No one can forget India's historic triumph in the 2020-2021 Border Gavaskar Trophy down under. India were all out for just 36 in the first test in Adelaide, their lowest innings total in test history. Mohammad Shami was ruled out, Umesh Yadav was ruled out, and Virat Kohli was on a flight back home. How do you lead a team with the pressure of a billion fans, a bowling lineup who had single-digit test experience between them, and without Virat Kohli, the batter and the captain? Rahane more than filled that void. Except he didn't try to emulate Kohli's energy and aggression on the field. He brought the classic calm and patience we know him to possess. At the MCG, days after the humiliation of Adelaide, he walked out and simply batted the way he always had. Unhurried, technically correct, entirely unbothered by the size of the moment. He scored 112 off 223 balls that game. The next highest score across all 4 innings was 57 by Ravindra Jadeja. India sealed a monumental win at the MCG and went on to defend the BGT, winning the 4th test at the Gabba. Perhaps if another player had accomplished the same, we would be singing songs about him to this day. Rahane wasn't about that. He remained humble and graceful, even in India's greatest overseas win. Ajinkya Rahane had also captained India in 3 ODIs, winning all 3. His stupendous captaincy record extends to the domestic level, where he led Mumbai to the SMAT Trophy in 2022-2023 and a Ranji Trophy win in 2023-2024. Great leadership rarely looks like leadership while it's happening. That was Rahane's gift: presence and calm over command. The rare ability to make a team feel like the ground beneath them was solid simply because he stood on it like it was. Rahane retires as the best captain India never had. Should he have gotten an extended run at the helm? We will never know. The pandemic marked a period of transition within the Indian Test team, the beginning of the end. Kohli, Pujara, and Rahane all didn't see the same returns after the pandemic. Rahane averaged just 25.39 in his final 39 innings, with 1 century and 4 50s. At home, that average dropped to just 18.87 from 8 innings. When his form dipped, the exact same diagnosis kept recurring from different pundits years apart: indecisive footwork. VVS Lakshman described it bluntly in 2021. Rahane's issue was the initial step, the baby step, landing on his toe or heel and leaving him stuck between playing off the front foot or back foot, which forced him into playing from the crease rather than committing. Rahane's trigger movement that gave him tremendous success in his early career had turned hesitant and mechanical, and now weighed his batting down. With the next era in Shubman Gill, Yashasvi Jaiswal, and Dhruv Jurel knocking at the doors of the Test team, Rahane was slowly phased out of the Test side. In the most Rahane fashion, he signed off with an innings that gave Indian fans hope. India were on the back foot in the 2023 World Test Championship finals against Australia, after Travis Head and Steve Smith notched up tons. In the first innings, Ajinkya Rahane scored a fighting 89, after the top 4 Indian batters were all dismissed for under 20. He showed grit in the second innings too, battling out 108 balls for 46. It's poetic that one of Rahane's final innings was away from home in a high-magnitude chase, batting alongside Virat Kohli, who he shared so many innings with. The Indian fans saw a glimmer of hope at the end of day 4 when the heroes of the previous decade, Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane, stitched a partnership to take the game to the 5th day. Everyone wondered, could they do it just one more time? Rahane managed just 12 runs from his next 2 innings touring West Indies in the next series. That was the last we saw of Ajinkya Rahane in whites. Rahane completes his Test career as the 13th Indian batter to score over 5,000 Test runs, finishing with 5,077 from 85 Tests with 12 hundreds and 26 50s. He has the joint 11th most away Test hundreds for an Indian batter, with 8 of his 12 tons coming overseas. Coming in a time when India was notoriously underperforming abroad, he was pivotal in building an era of dominance that Indian cricket fans can never forget. He signs off averaging nearly 40 away from home, better than his home average of 35. From 2013 to 2023, Rahane had the second best batting average at 47.4 and the most runs in away Test wins at 1,517 for India. The numbers can never do justice to the caliber of player Ajinkya Rahane was in red ball cricket. Ajinkya Rahane's transformation as a T20 player may be the most remarkable aspect of his career. His IPL returns were dwindling, and in an era with growing strike rates and consistent 200-plus totals, he needed to catch up. For 3 consecutive IPL seasons, he struck at just over 100, and after captaining the Rajasthan Royals in 2018 and 2019, he could barely find a spot in the top order by 2021 and 2022 for the Delhi Capitals and Kolkata Knight Riders. CSK picked up Rahane for just 50 lakhs leading into the 2023 IPL season, a signing that raised many eyebrows from critics who questioned Rahane's place in the modern T20 game. He proved them all wrong. Rahane scored 326 runs in 13 innings and importantly struck at 172.49, his career best strike rate in a single IPL season, by a distance. The IPL Finals in 2023 is remembered for Ravindra Jadeja's heroic 10 runs off 2 balls for CSK to clinch their 5th IPL title. But it was Ajinkya Rahane's quick-fire 27 off 13 deliveries that set the tempo for CSK. What's interesting is that Stephen Fleming and CSK didn't even have Rahane as part of their initial plans. He sat out for CSK's first 2 games of the season and didn't get a chance until the season was already underway. In Fleming's own words, it was the anchor tag that held Rahane back. He was always viewed as the batter you built around, especially in white ball cricket, and that meant his own gameplay was confined to this role. At CSK, he got the freedom to express himself at the top of the order, and the results speak for themselves. Ajinkya Rahane went on to be the player of the series in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy in 2024 and 2025, with 469 runs from just 8 innings, striking at 164.5. Rahane revived his T20 career against all odds, timing the ball cleaner than ever, and the critics had nothing to say. Ajinkya means unconquerable. Ajinkya Rahane was precisely that. Undefeated as captain, fighting for every last run on the pitch in India's most dire circumstances. Rahane's incredible performances for India will be remembered as dearly as his calm yet fighting presence on the field, giving every breath for the team. Here's to one of Indian cricket's modern greats. Thank you, Ajinkya Rahane.